The Alpha Commander arrived on Earth expecting compliance. He got a toddler with a death sentence instead. I was there. Third Observer, Krelll of the Dominion Fleet. Personal recorder to Commander Vex'thul himself. My job? Document humanity's surrender. Capture it for the archives. Make sure every civilization in the galaxy understood what happened when you defied the Dominion. Should have been simple. Should have been routine. Should have been a lot of things. Let me back up. 3 cycles before the incident, our long-range scanners picked up something odd about this backwater planet. The humans, those pink squishy things barely past nuclear fission, had somehow managed to decode one of our supply routes. Not crack our encryption, mind you. That would have required actual intelligence. No, they just got lucky. Stupidly, impossibly lucky. They intercepted a shipment meant for our forward base on Kepler 442b. Military-grade plasma cores, worth more than their entire planetary GDP. And what did these primitives do? Did they try to reverse engineer the technology? Sell it? Use it as a bargaining chip for peaceful contact? No. They stuck it in a museum. A museum, with a little placard that read, Unidentified Space Object, circa 2157. The audacity made Commander Vex'thul's head crest turn purple. That particular shade meant someone was about to have a very bad day. So we came to Earth. Not to conquer, technically. The Dominion doesn't conquer, we correct, we educate. We demonstrate the natural order of the universe, which coincidentally places us at the very top and everyone else somewhere between subservient and extinct. The fleet entered Earth's atmosphere over North America, Wyoming specifically. Population density, low. Military presence, minimal. Likelihood of significant resistance, laughable. Perfect spot for a demonstration. Commander Vex'thul wanted a human leader, preferably someone with authority, someone who could broadcast our superiority to the Comption, rest of their species. What we got instead was a Wyoming rancher named Marcus Holloway, his 4-year-old daughter Emma, and approximately 8,000 acres of land that apparently didn't believe in the concept of neighbors. I watched from the command deck as Vex'thul's dropship descended. The commander stood 7 feet tall in his armor, head crest fully extended, skin shifting through aggressive color patterns that had made entire civilizations surrender without a single shot fired. His elite guard, the Talon Squad, flanked him in perfect formation. Each warrior carried enough firepower to level a city block. They landed in front of a wooden house that looked like it might collapse if someone sneezed too hard. Marcus Holloway stepped onto his porch holding a cup of coffee. Not a weapon. Coffee. He looked at the commander, looked at the 12-foot-tall warship idling in his front yard, took a sip, and said, "Y'all picked a hell of a time to drop by. Just put the morning brew on." I checked my translator 3 times. Surely it malfunctioned. No species, no sapient being in the entire galaxy, responds to an Alpha Commander's arrival by complaining about timing. Vex'thul's crest flattened. Bad sign. Very bad sign. When a Dominion commander's crest flattens, it means they've moved past anger into that special place where violence becomes art. Human. Vex'thul's voice boomed across the field, amplified by his armor speakers. You stand before the Dominion fleet. Your species has committed theft against our empire. You will surrender the stolen property, submit to Dominion authority, and broadcast your compliance to your planet's leadership. Refusal means extermination. You have 30 seconds to comply. Marcus took another sip of coffee. That so? Well, I got some bad news for you, partner. That shiny thing y'all looking for? Government took it 3 months back. Federal boys in suits showed up, flashed some badges, hauled it off to God knows where. You want it back? You're gonna need to talk to them, not me. Unacceptable. Vex'thul stepped forward. The ground trembled. Literally trembled. His armor weighed as much as a small vehicle. You will produce the device or provide coordinates to its location. You have 20 seconds. Don't got coordinates. Marcus set his coffee cup on the porch railing with deliberate slowness. And even if I did, I wouldn't give them to someone who lands in my yard making threats. That's just poor manners. 15 seconds left. I found myself leaning forward in my observation chair. This human had to break. They always broke. Basic survival instinct. Self-preservation. Universal constant. 10 seconds. Marcus didn't move. 5 seconds. A small face appeared in the farmhouse window. Round cheeks, blonde curls, holding what looked like a stuffed animal. The child, Emma. She pressed her nose against the glass, watching. 0 seconds. Vex'thul raised his arm. Energy crackled along his gauntlet, building to a discharge that would vaporize Marcus where he stood. The Talon squad raised their weapons in synchronized motion, targeting systems painting red dots across Marcus's chest. Wait! Marcus's hand went up. Finally, the human showed some sense. Wait. Hold on. Just hold on 1 damn second. Vex'thul paused. His weapon still hummed with lethal intent, but he held fire. Even commanders appreciate when primitives recognize their place in the cosmic hierarchy. My daughter, Marcus said, voice tight. She's inside. She's 4 years old. Whatever you're gonna do to me, let me get her out first. Let me take her to her grandmother's place, 10 miles down the road. Then you can do whatever. Just don't hurt my kid. Interesting. The human feared for his offspring but not himself. Our xenopsychology databases had notes about human parental attachment, but seeing it in real time added valuable context. I made a note for my report. Vex'thul's translator analyzed Marcus's tone, his biological stress markers, the micro-expressions our sensors picked up. After 3 long seconds, the commander lowered his weapon. You have 5 minutes to remove the offspring. Then you return, alone, and we continue this conversation. Understood? Marcus nodded and practically ran inside. That's when everything went sideways. Catastrophically, impossibly sideways. Marcus emerged carrying Emma on his hip. The child looked around with wide blue eyes, taking in the warship, the armored soldiers, the alien commander who could crush vehicles with his bare hands. Did she cry? Scream? Show any appropriate fear response? She pointed at Vex'thul and laughed. Not a nervous laugh. A delighted one. The kind of laugh a child makes when they see something funny. Daddy, look! Big lizard man. He's all sparkly. Vex'thul's crest snapped upright. In Dominion culture, being laughed at by a child is roughly equivalent to being spat on by someone's grandmother. At a funeral. For your commander, the offspring, mocks me, Vex'thul said, his voice dropping to that dangerous whisper that preceded executions. Perhaps a demonstration is necessary. Perhaps the human needs to understand consequences. He took a step toward Emma. Marcus shifted his daughter behind him. Don't you dare. Or what? Vex'thul loomed over them both. What will you do, human? Your species is unarmed, outmatched, and irrelevant. I could end you both before your primitive nervous system registered pain. I could sterilize this entire region before your military even detected the energy signature. You have nothing. You are nothing. Emma peeked around her father's leg, still giggling. Daddy, the lizard man is grumpy. He needs a cookie. That did it. Vex'thul's gauntlet snapped up, energy discharge building for a kill shot. Not at Marcus. At Emma. The commander had decided to teach humanity a lesson about respect through the most brutal method available. Marcus had maybe half a second before his daughter ceased to exist. He didn't waste it on begging. Didn't waste it on final words. He looked at Emma, looked at something behind the farmhouse, and said 3 words that would echo through Dominion history for cycles to come. Emma, honey, point. The child, bless her absolutely ridiculous human innocence, pointed toward the tree line behind the house. Her tiny finger extended, and she said in that sing-song voice children use, There, Daddy. There's Mr. Stripes. I zoomed my observation sensors to maximum magnification, trying to understand what the human hoped to accomplish. Was there a hidden weapon? A vehicle? Some desperate last-minute trap? What I saw instead was roughly 40 pounds of pure terrestrial fury. Humans have a saying about certain earth animals. Something about honey badgers and various anatomical impossibilities. I'd read the reference in our cultural database and dismissed it as primitive hyperbole. I was wrong. So very wrong. The creature emerged from the underbrush like a miniature tank with anger issues. Black and white striped fur. Low-slung body. Claws that looked like they could rip through steel plating. And eyes. Stars help me, those eyes. They held the kind of malice usually reserved for war criminals and tax collectors. Mr. Stripes, apparently. Emma had been feeding this animal. For months, based on the way it reacted to her presence. The creature looked at the child, looked at Vex'thul pointing a weapon at the child, and made a decision that would redefine humanity's place in the galactic community. It charged. Vex'thul never saw it coming. His sensors were calibrated for threats. Armed combatants, vehicles, energy signatures. Not 40-pound terrestrial mammals moving at 25 miles per hour with murder in their hearts. The honey badger hit the commander's leg armor like a furry missile. Dominion battlesuits can withstand plasma fire, kinetic strikes, even limited exposure to vacuum. They are not designed to handle an animal that doesn't understand the concept of giving up. Mr. Stripes climbed. Claws found purchase in armor joints. Teeth, designed to crack open beehives and turtle shells, found gaps in plating that our engineers swore didn't exist. The badger moved with single-minded determination, heading straight for Vex'thul's throat. The commander staggered backward, trying to grab the animal. His gauntleted hands, capable of crushing stone, closed on empty air. The honey badger twisted, bit through a hydraulic line in the elbow joint, and kept climbing. Talon squad. Vex'thul's voice cracked with something I'd never heard before. Panic. Remove this creature, now. The elite guards moved forward. 12 of the Dominion's finest warriors, armed with weapons that could sterilize continents. They failed. The first guard tried to grab Mr. Stripes. The badger latched onto his hand, bit through armor-weave gloves, and made the guard scream. Not a tactical retreat scream. A genuine, high-pitched shriek of pain that probably damaged his professional reputation permanently. The second guard attempted a stunning blast. Low setting, designed to incapacitate without killing. The energy beam hit Mr. Stripes square in the back. The badger didn't care. This is the part where I need to explain something about Earth's evolutionary history. Most planets develop life that follows logical survival patterns. Avoid pain, flee superior force, acknowledge when you're outmatched. Earth apparently missed that memo entirely. Honey badgers evolved in an environment so hostile, so relentlessly deadly, that they developed a singular survival strategy which I can only describe as weaponized spite. Their skin is too loose to grab effectively. Their nervous system has built-in pain resistance, and their attitude toward threats of any size can be summarized as, "Try me." Mr. Stripes tried them, all of them. The third guard went down when the badger somehow redirected his own stun baton into his face. The fourth and fifth got tangled together, trying to flank the creature, crashed into each other, and tumbled down in a heap of expensive armor and wounded dignity. Vex'thul finally grabbed the badger with both hands and threw it. 20 feet, easy. The animal hit the ground, rolled, and came back for round 2 before the commander could reset his stance. This time Mr. Stripes went for the crest. That beautiful, expressive head crest that demonstrated dominance and hierarchy. The badger latched on with teeth and claws, and Vex'thul, alpha commander of the Dominion fleet, veteran of 40 campaigns, conqueror of 12 systems, let out a sound I can only describe as a squeal. He grabbed the badger again, threw it again. Harder this time, maybe 50 feet into the tree line. The badger came back. Again, and again, and again. I watched, sensors recording every impossible second, as a mid-level Earth predator fought an entire tactical squad to a standstill, not through strength or firepower or superior technology. Through sheer, bloody-minded refusal to acknowledge defeat, guards fell back, armor sparked. Someone's weapon discharged into the ground, leaving a smoking crater. Vex'thul's crest hung in tatters, bleeding that purple blood that meant extreme distress. And through it all, Emma clapped her hands and cheered. "Go, Mr. Stripes, get the bad lizard. Get him." Marcus just stood there, holding his daughter, wearing an expression I couldn't quite parse. Pride? Horror? Vindication? All three? The commander finally managed to grab his sidearm. Military-grade plasma pistol, capable of punching through vehicle armor. He aimed at the badger with shaking hands. "No." Emma's scream cut through the chaos. "You leave Mr. Stripes alone." Vex'thul hesitated. Just for a second. Just long enough to look at the tiny human child, then at the animal that had single-handedly dismantled his tactical squad's reputation, then back at the child. His weapon lowered. "This planet," he said slowly, breathing hard, "is classified as a Class 7 death world. Updating to Class 8, possibly 9. Mission abort." Immediate withdrawal. Sir? One of the few still standing guards sounded confused. The human has the stolen property. Protocol demands. Protocol can be updated. Vex'thul backed toward his dropship, eyes never leaving the badger. Any planet that produces creatures like this, creatures that bond with their offspring and fight like demons, any planet where a child can weaponize the local wildlife, deserves quarantine status. Mark Earth as a no-contact zone until further notice. Mr. Stripes sat down near Emma's feet, panting, covered in purple blood that definitely wasn't his own. The badger looked up at the child and made a sound somewhere between a grunt and a purr. Emma bent down and patted his head. Good boy. You protected us. You get extra peanut butter tonight. The Talon squad retreated to their ship, dragging wounded Pride and 3 unconscious members. Vex'thul backed up the ramp, never turning his back on the badger. Human, he said to Marcus. Keep your planet. Keep your property. Keep your insane wildlife. The Dominion wants nothing to do with a species that trains their young to command apex predators. We don't train them, Marcus said mildly. Emma just likes feeding the animals. Mr. Stripes comes around for lunch sometimes. The commander's crest tried to stand back up, failed, and flopped sideways. He made a sound like a computer crashing, turned, and fled into his dropship. The ship lifted off, engines roaring. They cleared the atmosphere in record time. The entire fleet followed within the hour. I filed my report from the observation deck, trying to find words that wouldn't get me demoted for insanity. How do you explain to High Command that humanity's greatest defensive asset isn't their military, their technology, or their weapons? It's their complete failure to understand when they should be afraid. And the local fauna that apparently shares this attitude. The report got filed under diplomatic incidents, extreme. Earth received Class 9 Death World status. No contact protocols updated. The sector marked as a no-fly zone for any vessel without specific authorization from 3 separate committees and a psychologist's clearance. All because a 4-year-old pointed at her pet. And the pet decided violence was the appropriate response. Humanity got its independence that day. Not through strength of arms or superior tactics, but because the galaxy looked at Earth and collectively decided that any species whose children can casually befriend animals that fight like demons possessed is probably best left alone. I sometimes wonder about Emma. She'd be older now, maybe starting school. Does she remember the day aliens came and her pet saved her? Does she tell that story to her friends? Does she still feed Mr. Stripes? I hope so. I really, really hope so. Because somewhere in the Dominion archives, there's a file marked, Earth, Human Homeworld, Do Not Engage. And attached to that file is a video. 1 hour, 17 minutes of an Alpha commander getting absolutely destroyed by 40 pounds of attitude wrapped in fur. They show it in tactical training now. As a cautionary tale. About overconfidence. About underestimating primitives. About checking your target planet's wildlife database before making threats. The lecture title? The Holloway Incident. When Apex Predators Meet Apex Attitude. Commander Vex'thul retired 3 months after we returned. Early retirement, officially. Medical reasons, the report said. His crest never grew back properly. He flinches at small animals now. Therapy isn't helping. Me? I got promoted. Apparently. My detailed documentation of the incident proved valuable for updating first contact protocols. New rule. If the planet contains humans or honey badgers, maintain minimum orbit of 3 astronomical units. If it contains both, just leave. Some fights aren't worth having. Some species aren't worth threatening. And some 4-year-olds are protected by forces that make military hardware look like expensive toys. The galaxy learned that lesson the hard way. From a ranch in Wyoming, from a girl and her pet, from the day humanity's greatest weapon turned out to be the local wildlife, and complete inability to recognize appropriate threat responses. Sleep well, Emma Holloway. The Dominion won't be bothering you again. Mr. Stripes made sure of that. 6 months after the Holloway incident, as it became universally known, I found myself reassigned to deep space monitoring. Comfortable job. Safe job. No direct contact with anything that could bite, claw, or otherwise demonstrate why evolution sometimes produces nightmares wrapped in cute packaging. Should have known better. The call came through at 0400 station time. Priority alert, emergency frequency. and the source coordinates made my secondary stomach clench. Earth. Specifically, Geneva. Human Global Defense Initiative headquarters. They were broadcasting on Dominion military channels. Channels they absolutely should not have known existed, let alone possessed the technology to access. Attention Dominion Fleet. The transmission began. Female voice, calm, professional. Too calm. This is Director Yuki Tanaka of Earth's Defense Coordination Office. We have a situation that requires immediate consultation with Observer Krelll. Third, Observer Krelll specifically. You have 6 hours to respond before we assume hostile intent and act accordingly. Act accordingly. What could humanity possibly do that qualified as action against the Dominion? We had warships the size of their cities, technology centuries beyond their comprehension, military doctrine refined over millennia. We also had institutional trauma involving one specific honey badger. But surely that was an isolated incident. Surely. My supervisor, Station Commander Prax, called me into his office. He looked tired. Prax always looked tired these days. Ever since the Earth file landed on his desk, he developed this nervous habit of checking corners for small animals. Krelll, the humans want you, specifically you. Any idea why? None whatsoever, sir. I simply documented the Vex'thul encounter. I haven't had contact with Earth since we declared them restricted space. Well, they cracked our communication protocols somehow. High Command wants answers. You're going down there. He slid a datapad across the desk. Transport leaves in 2 hours. You'll have a full security detail. Standard diplomatic immunity. And Krelll? Try not to start an interstellar incident. Sir, with respect, I wasn't the one who threatened the child. No, but you were there when it happened. The humans remember. They always remember. The transport dropped me in Geneva exactly 6 hours after their transmission. Swiss Alps in the background, lake water reflecting afternoon sun. Beautiful planet, really. Shame about the residents and their tendency to weaponize local fauna. Director Tanaka met me at the landing pad. Late 50s by human standards, gray threading through black hair, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my annual salary. She extended a hand. I stared at it. It's called a handshake, she said, voice carrying that peculiar human patience they use when explaining obvious things. You grasp my hand firmly, shake twice, release. Standard human greeting. Your database should have covered this. I grasped her hand. Her grip was stronger than expected. Humans always surprised you with their physical capability. Deceptive species. Built like they should break easily. Fought like they were made of armor plating and spite. Director Tanaka, you requested my presence specifically. Might I ask why? Walk with me, Observer Krelll. We have things to discuss. Private things. Things that don't go in official reports. She led me through the facility. Humans bustled past carrying data, pads, having urgent conversations, generally looking busy in that way species do when they're trying to prove they matter. We passed security checkpoints with guards carrying weapons that wouldn't scratch Dominion armor, but looked impressively lethal by Earth standards. Finally, we reached a conference room. Sealed doors, signal dampening, the works. Inside sat 3 others. An older man with military bearing, name tag reading General Kowalski. A younger woman with bright purple hair and augmented reality glasses, introduced as Dr. Patel, xenobiology. And a boy, maybe 12 years old, wearing jeans and a shirt that said, "My other vehicle is a spaceship." The boy grinned at me. "Cool, you're way taller than the videos showed. Do you molt? Can you change colors like a chameleon? Is your skin actually scales or more like reinforced plates?" "Liam, we discussed this." Dr. Patel put a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Questions later. Director Tanaka needs to brief first." Tanaka sat at the head of the table. I took a seat designed for humans, which meant my knees hit the underside, and I had to awkwardly adjust. Probably intentional. Power play. Humans love those. Observer Krelll, let me be direct. 6 months ago, your Commander Vex'thul attempted to execute a 4-year-old child on American soil. That action, and its spectacular failure, taught us several valuable lessons about galactic politics. Lesson 1, General Kowalski held up a finger. The Dominion responds to strength. Not moral arguments, not diplomatic negotiation. Strength, preferably the kind that makes your soldiers run away screaming. Lesson 2, Dr. Patel continued. Your species, and presumably many others in the Dominion, have fundamental blind spots regarding Earth biology. You see individual creatures, individual threats. You miss the bigger picture. Lesson 3. Young Liam practically bounced in his chair. You're way less scary than you think you are. My little sister faced down your commander with nothing but a honey badger and some attitude. If a 4-year-old can do that, what can the rest of us do? I felt my crest trying to flatten, forced it to stay neutral. Not, Director. If you've brought me here to gloat about the incident, we brought you here, Tanaka interrupted, because 3 days ago, a Dominion scout ship entered Earth's orbital space. It launched surveillance drones, mapped our military installations, cataloged our cities, and when we hailed them, they transmitted a single message. Compliance assessment underway. Resistance will be corrected. My crest flattened despite my best efforts. That's impossible. Earth has Class 9 status, no contact. Direct orders from High Command. Apparently someone didn't get the memo. Tanaka pulled up a holographic display. Ship signatures, energy readings, timestamps. All legitimate. All showing a Dominion vessel brazenly violating quarantine protocols. This ship, the Retribution, belongs to Commander Vex'thul's brother, Commander Kex'thul, and from what our intelligence suggests, he's not here for a friendly visit. He's here for revenge, General Kowalski said flatly. For embarrassing his family, for causing his brother's early retirement, for making the Dominion look weak. He's going to attack. Dr. Patel's voice was quiet. Not the military, not our governments. He's smart enough to know that would cause actual political problems. He's going to target Emma Holloway, make an example. Show the galaxy that threatening Dominion commanders has consequences. Ice ran through my veins. Not actual ice. My species doesn't experience temperature that way. But the sensation of sudden, complete understanding coupled with absolute horror? Universal constant. You can't know that, I said, hearing the weakness in my own voice. Kex'thul might just be conducting reconnaissance, building intelligence. There's no evidence. Liam tapped his data pad. The display changed, showed intercepted communications. Dominion, military encryption, cracked wide open. The messages were clear enough. Target identified. Emma Holloway, age 4.5 cycles. Location confirmed. Wyoming, North American sector. Extraction planned for 1,800 local time tomorrow. Compliance will be demonstrated through child's public execution, broadcast to serve as example. Your people, Tanaka said softly, are coming for a child. Again. Because apparently, the first time didn't teach the lesson properly. I had no knowledge of this, I said quickly. High Command issued direct orders. Kex'thul is acting without authorization. This is your problem as much as ours. General Kowalski finished. If he succeeds, Earth knows the Dominion can't be trusted. We'll arm, we'll prepare, we'll become the threat you always feared. If he fails, well, let's just say the Holloway incident will look like a minor diplomatic misunderstanding compared to what we've got planned. I looked around. The table. 4 humans. Different ages, different specialties. All wearing the same expression. That particular human look that meant they'd made a decision, and physical laws were invited to find somewhere else to apply. What do you want from me? I asked. Information, Dr. Patel said. Kex'thul's ship specifications. Weak points. Shield frequencies. Anything that helps us defend against him. That's classified military intelligence. I could be executed for treason. You'll be executed anyway if this goes wrong, Tanaka pointed out. Kex'thul is acting outside authority. If he succeeds, you'll be blamed for inadequate reporting about Earth's capabilities. If he fails, you'll be blamed for not warning High Command that humans had learned to crack Dominion encryption. Either way, you're politically dead. Help us, and at least you survive physically. The logic was sound. Horrifyingly sound. Humans had this talent for identifying exactly what leverage worked on any given individual. Explained how they'd survived their own planet. Even if I provide intelligence, I said slowly, you can't fight a Dominion warship. Your weapons are primitive. Your shields are non-existent. One plasma strike and half of Wyoming becomes a crater. Liam grinned. That same grin Emma had worn right before pointing at Mr. Stripes. That grin that meant someone was about to have a very educational day. We're not fighting a warship, Observer Krell. We're fighting a commander who thinks he understands Earth. And Dr. Patel has been very busy these last 6 months. The xenobiology specialist pulled up new files. Research documents. Biological surveys. Species classifications from every continent on Earth. Thousands of entries. Tens of thousands. After the Holloway incident, she explained, I started wondering. If one honey badger could dismantle an elite tactical squad, what could we do with proper preparation? What if we stopped treating Earth's wildlife as a liability and started treating it as an asset? She scrolled through entries, stopped on one, pulled up video footage. Meet the Australian cassowary. Flightless bird, 6 feet tall, claws that can disembowel, territorial, aggressive, absolutely zero fear response. They kill several humans per year, and we're the dominant species on this planet. Next entry. Saltwater crocodile, 20 feet long, bite force strong enough to crush engine blocks. Patient, smart, can survive for months without food, but won't pass up an easy meal. Next, African elephant, largest land animal, 7 tons of muscle and attitude, mourns their dead, never forgets, and when they decide something is a threat, they remove it, permanently. Next, orca whale, apex ocean predator, hunts in coordinated packs, displays cultural learning, teaches hunting techniques to offspring, has been observed playing with prey before killing it. For fun, she kept scrolling. Bears, tigers, venomous snakes, poisonous frogs, parasitic wasps, box jellyfish, each entry more terrifying than the last. Each one native to Earth, each one completely unaware that threatening aliens was supposed to be difficult. Your Commander Kex'thul is planning an extraction tomorrow at 1800 hours, Tanaka said. The Holloway Ranch. Same location as before. Probably thinks the symmetry makes a good statement. Probably imagines he'll swoop in, grab the child, make his broadcast, and leave before human authorities respond. He's wrong. General Kowalski smiled. Not a friendly smile. The kind of smile that meant someone had miscalculated badly, and was about to discover exactly how badly. Emma Holloway doesn't have one animal friend, she has 17. Her father runs a wildlife rehabilitation center. The girl feeds everything from injured rabbits to recovering wolves. And every single one of those animals recognizes her. Recognizes her as what? I had to ask. Pack, Dr. Patel said simply. Family. Protected. Humans have been domesticating and befriending Earth's wildlife for thousands of years. We're good at it. Really, really good at it. And when you threaten our pack, our family, our protected ones, well, the animals notice. Liam pulled up another display. The Holloway Ranch. Aerial view. Thermal imaging. I counted at least 40 distinct heat signatures around the property. Not human. Too small for humans. Various sizes, various locations, all watching the house. Mr. Stripes made friends, the boy explained. Honey badgers are solitary, but this one apparently decided Emma was worth protecting. He brought others. Not other badgers. Badgers don't work together. But he brought the message. The child is protected. The child is pack. And when the Dominion comes again, they won't face one 40-pound attitude problem. They'll face an entire ecosystem that's collectively decided humans are worth defending. Dr. Patel finished. I stared at the display, at the heat signatures, at the casual way these humans discussed, weaponizing their own planet's biology, at the absolute certainty in their voices. You're insane, I said. All of you. Your entire species. This won't work. Kex'thul commands a warship. He'll simply bombard from orbit. He won't, Tanaka said, because that would defeat the purpose. He wants a public execution. Wants to prove the Dominion can't be humiliated. He needs to land, needs to take Emma personally, needs the image of a Dominion commander succeeding where his brother failed. His ego demands it. And his ego, General Kowalski added, is about to write a check his tactical abilities can't cash. They wanted my help. My intelligence on Kex'thul's ship systems, his tactical preferences, his security protocols, information that would let them prepare their absolutely ridiculous ambush. I should have refused. Should have maintained loyalty to the Dominion, to my species, to the chain of command that kept the galaxy functioning. I pulled up my own datapad instead. Kex'thul favors overwhelming force over tactical subtlety, I began. He'll bring his full honor guard, 30 warriors, minimum, each equipped with heavy armor, plasma weapons, shield generators. He'll establish a perimeter, deploy drones for surveillance, and approach the target location with maximum intimidation. Good. Tanaka made notes. Predictable. What about the ship? Standard Dominion destroyer, orbital weapons, defensive shields, landing capability. But here's the important part. Kex'thul is arrogant. He won't maintain active shields during a ground operation on a primitive planet. Waste of power. He'll rely on his armor and his squad. Excellent. Dr. Patel's smile widened. Observer Krell, you've just become humanity's favorite alien. How do you feel about preventing an interstellar incident? Terrified, I admitted. Absolutely terrified. Because I've seen your planet's wildlife in action, and I'm starting to understand why the galaxy should be afraid of you. Good. Young Liam laughed. Fear is healthy. Keeps you alert. Now, let's talk about deployment patterns and optimal ambush positions. I've been playing a lot of strategy games, and I have ideas. They spent the next 4 hours planning. I provided technical specifications. They provided increasingly disturbing applications of Earth biology. By the time we finished, I understood exactly why humanity had survived their own world. They didn't fight fair, didn't believe in proportional response, didn't understand the concept of accepting defeat gracefully. They found every advantage, exploited every weakness, and then added wolves for good measure. Actual wolves. Dr. Patel had connections with a wildlife preserve that apparently owed her favors. The plan was completely insane, tactically questionable, ethically ambiguous, and knowing humans, knowing Earth, knowing what one honey badger had already accomplished, it might actually work. One question, I said as the meeting wrapped up. Why me? Why bring me into this? You obviously have the intelligence, the planning capability, the wildlife. Why risk telling a Dominion observer your entire strategy? Director Tanaka stood, gathered her materials, and met my eyes. Because tomorrow, when this is over, someone needs to file a report. Someone High Command trusts. Someone who can explain to the Dominion, in terms they'll understand, why Earth should be left completely alone. Not because we ask nicely, not because of treaties or diplomacy, but because we're genuinely, legitimately dangerous. You want me to scare my own people. We want you to tell the truth, the whole truth, with proper documentation and absolutely no diplomatic sugarcoating. Think you can handle that? I looked at the datapads, the plans, the casual way these humans discussed ambushing a Dominion commander with coordinated wildlife attacks. Thought about Emma Holloway, 4 years old, who'd somehow become the focal point for humanity's first real demonstration of military capability. Thought about Kex'thul, who absolutely deserved what was about to happen to him. I'll file the report, I said. Detailed documentation, full sensor records, everything. Good. Tanaka headed for the door. Transport back to Wyoming leaves at dawn. We'll have observation positions prepared. You'll have a perfect view of the whole thing. Try to enjoy the show, Observer Krell. It's going to be educational. That's how I found myself. At 1,730 hours the next day, sitting in a reinforced observation blind 200 yards from the Holloway Ranch. General Kowalski sat beside me, binoculars in hand. Dr. Patel monitored radio frequencies. Young Liam watched thermal scans on multiple tablets. And somewhere in the house, Emma Holloway played with her stuffed animals, completely unaware she'd become the center of an interstellar incident. Again. Incoming, Kowalski said quietly. Right on schedule. The sky tore open. Dominion destroyer, dropping through atmosphere with all the subtlety of a meteor strike. The ship was massive, easily 300 meters long, bristling with weapons that could level mountains. It landed in the same field Vex'thul had used. Symmetry. Just like Tanaka predicted. The landing ramp descended. Kex'thul emerged, even taller than his brother, wearing armor that could probably survive a nuclear blast. His honor guard followed. 30 warriors, exactly as I'd predicted. They spread out in perfect formation, weapons ready, scanning for threats. They found none. The ranch looked peaceful. Marcus Holloway stood on his porch, exactly like last time, not holding coffee this time, holding Emma's hand. Kex'thul's voice boomed across the field, amplified by external speakers. Human Marcus Holloway. 6 months ago, my brother extended the Dominion's mercy to your pathetic species. This mercy was answered with violence and humiliation. Today, the Dominion corrects this error. Today, we demonstrate consequences. Marcus said nothing. Just stood there, holding his daughter's hand. You will surrender the child, Kex'thul continued. She will be taken aboard my vessel. Her execution will be broadcast across your planet and throughout the galaxy. Your species will learn that challenging the Dominion carries a price. You have 60 seconds to comply. Emma looked up at her father, whispered something I couldn't hear from my position. Marcus nodded, bent down, whispered something back. Emma stepped forward. Tiny little thing, barely 3 feet tall, wearing overalls and pink boots. She looked at the 30 armed warriors, at the massive warship, at Commander Kex'thul who could crush her with one hand. And she pointed, not at Mr. Stripes this time, at the sky. Bad lizard men came back, everyone. They're being mean to Daddy again. That's when the forest moved. First came Mr. Stripes, because of course he did. The honey badger charged from the tree line like a guided missile with fur and malice. But he wasn't alone. 3 more badgers followed. Not the same species, different continents. Dr. Patel had somehow assembled an international coalition of the world's angriest animals. Then came the wolves. 6 of them, gray and timber, moving in perfect pack formation. Rescue animals from the preserve, imprinted on Emma from weeks of careful preparation. Then the bear. Grizzly. 900 pounds. Recently rehabilitated from an injury. Apparently decided Emma had been nice enough during recovery to warrant defending. Then the really interesting ones emerged. Is that a kangaroo? I couldn't help but ask. Red kangaroo, Dr. Patel confirmed. Male, 6 feet tall, kicks like a jackhammer, highly territorial. We may have implied that the Dominion warriors were threatening his territory. And the bird? Cassowary. I mentioned them yesterday. Wait for it. The cassowary, 6 feet of flightless murder bird, made a sound like a demon having a bad day. Its claws, each the size of a knife blade, gleamed in the sunlight. Kex'thul's honor guard raised their weapons. Advanced threat detection systems, screaming warnings, energy weapons charging, ready to vaporize anything that came close. The animals attacked anyway. Because Earth's wildlife didn't care about tactical analysis, didn't understand force projection, didn't recognize when they should be afraid. They just knew. Child threatened. Child pack. Child protected. Mr. Stripes hit the first warrior low, going for knee joints exactly like last time. 2 more badgers followed, working in terrifying coordination. The warrior went down screaming. The wolves split into 2 groups, flanking maneuvers that would make military tacticians proud. They hit warriors from behind, biting through armor gaps, dragging them off balance. The grizzly simply stood up on its hind legs, roared loud enough to vibrate the observation blind's walls, and swatted a warrior so hard his shield generator sparked and failed. The kangaroo, and I still can't believe I'm writing this in an official report, kicked one warrior so hard he flew backward 15 feet and crashed into 2 of his squad mates. The impact sounded like a vehicle collision. And the cassowary. Dear stars, the cassowary. It targeted Kex'thul directly, moving faster than something that size should be capable of. The commander raised his arm, energy discharge building. The bird dodged. Actual combat dodge. Moved like it had done this before. Its claws raked across Kex'thul's arm, found the same hydraulic lines that Mr. Stripes had exploited on his brother, and severed them with surgical precision. Kex'thul's gauntlet sparked. Energy discharge misfired, hit the ground, left a smoking crater nowhere near the intended target. How? I whispered. How did the bird know where to strike? We showed them videos, Liam said casually, eyes on his monitors. Lots of videos, from your encounter with Vex'thul. Turns out, several Earth species can learn by observation. And they've got good memory for weak points. You trained them to fight Dominion armor. We showed them where previous attacks succeeded. They did the rest. Earth's predators are excellent students when properly motivated. The battle, if you could call it that, lasted 8 minutes. 8 minutes of the Dominion's finest warriors getting systematically dismantled by animals that shouldn't have been coordinating, shouldn't have been working together, shouldn't have known where armor was weakest, but did anyway. Because humans had asked them to. Because Emma had pointed and said, everyone. Because somewhere in the last 6 months, humanity had figured out that their greatest military asset walked on 4 legs and didn't understand retreat. Kex'thul finally made it back to his ship. Armor shredded, crest torn, trailing warriors who looked like they'd fought a war instead of visiting a ranch. The landing ramp closed. Engines fired. The destroyer lifted off so fast it probably violated half a dozen safety protocols. Emma waved goodbye. Bye, lizard men, don't come back. The animals dispersed. Wolves back to the preserve. Bear back to the forest. Kangaroo somehow heading toward a transport that would return it to Australia. Cassowary already gone. Disappeared into the brush like a nightmare that had better places to be. The badgers stayed. All 4 of them. Sat near Emma like furry bodyguards. Mr. Stripes got a pat on the head and what looked like an entire jar of peanut butter. General Kowalski lowered his binoculars. Well, that went exactly as planned. Mostly. The kangaroo improvised a bit. That's not a battle report, I managed. That's a xenobiological horror story. That's Earth, Dr. Patel corrected. And now you understand why we don't want the Dominion here. Why we don't want any galactic empire here. Because we've spent thousands of years learning to work with our planet's wildlife. And if we can do that much with animals we're trying to protect, imagine what we could do with ones we're actively weaponizing. I didn't want to imagine. Didn't want to think about humans with actual military funding, actual preparation, actual intent to harm. What they'd done today was defensive, protective, relatively restrained, relatively. I need to file my report, I said quietly. I need to tell High Command everything. You do that. Tanaka appeared behind us, apparently monitoring from another position. Tell them about the animals. Tell them about Emma. Tell them that Earth doesn't start fights, but we absolutely finish them. And tell them, Observer Krell, that this was us being nice. Nice? We could have used the spiders. I didn't ask. Didn't want to know. Just nodded, gathered my sensor data, and prepared my transport back to the fleet. My report took 3 days to write. Full documentation, video evidence, biological analyses, tactical breakdown, everything High Command needed to understand exactly why Earth should be reclassified. Not Class 9 Death World. Class 10. Special designation. Reserved for planets whose dominant species had not only survived their environment but had somehow befriended it, had somehow convinced apex predators that humans were worth protecting, had somehow weaponized evolution itself. The recommendation went through in record time. Earth received protected status. No contact without Security Council approval. No military presence within 10 light years. No exceptions. Commander Kex'thul faced court-martial for unauthorized action, violation of quarantine protocols, and bringing shame to the Dominion military. His defense was that he'd been attacked by wildlife and that wasn't a military action. The court disagreed. Pointed out that walking into an obvious ambush because you underestimated the enemy was still a military failure. Stripped him of rank. Assigned him to deep space monitoring. I hear he's working 2 stations over now. We don't talk. As for me, I got another promotion. Senior Observer, specializing in protected worlds. My job now is making sure nobody else makes the same mistake. Making sure everyone in the Dominion understands what those 2 words mean. Earth, humans, and the wildlife that decided these particular primates were worth keeping alive. I think about Emma sometimes. She'll be older now, 5 years old, maybe starting school. Learning to read, making friends. Living a completely normal life. Unaware that she's fought off 2 separate Dominion incursions before kindergarten. I hope she keeps feeding the animals. Keeps making friends with the local wildlife. Keeps being exactly the kind of human that makes the galaxy think twice before threatening Earth. Because somewhere out there, someone will eventually forget. We'll see humanity's primitive technology, their fractious governments, their lack of unified military, will think Earth looks easy, will decide to try their luck, and they'll land on a ranch in Wyoming, or a preserve in Australia, or a forest in Canada, or any of 1,000 places where humans have quietly, patiently, lovingly befriended the local apex predators, and those predators will remember the humans who fed them, protected them, taught them that some things are worth defending. That's when the invaders will learn the same lesson the Dominion did. Earth doesn't need advanced weapons, doesn't need orbital platforms or plasma cannons or shield generators. Earth has 4-year-olds who can point at wildlife and say, "Everyone." And the wildlife listens. Sleep well, galaxy. The humans are fine. They've got friends. Lots of friends. Friends with claws and teeth and absolutely zero concept of fighting fair. And they're all very protective of the little ones.